Another live Q&A, guys. We are back. Thank you for joining. There is already loads of people here over on YouTube I can see, and there's loads of people on Facebook as well. I just don't see the numbers on Facebook, but I do see them on YouTube. But anyway, welcome. It's going to be a really, really good night. We've got some lovely people in the house already. We've got Eddie Boosa here. Stuart, hello. I hope you're all right, mate. Oh, Gary Murphy, how are you? Good to see you again. And loads of other people that have just been popped out. Paul Brown's in the house. There was someone from Tenerife a minute ago. Martin Astley from Tenerife. We was there a few weeks ago. And I'll be back there again soon as well. So welcome. Gary S. from Scotland. Oh, we've got one of your lot here later on to speak to us. I'll come to that in a minute. We have got from North Lincolnshire, Sheffield, Suffolk, Glasgow, Benfleet, Virginia in the USA, London, and loads of other places, Manchester there. So, yeah, welcome to the group. Loads of people, and it's always, always a pleasure having you all on. I'm on the Doom Bar. I hope you are joining me. Unless you're in the Southern Hemisphere, then it's probably the morning, and you know, you're in trouble if you're drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we have got a fun-packed evening. I've got some questions here from people that can't be with us. One thing I want you to do, first of all, before we crack on, I'm going to put this over the screen. You know what to do. Hit the like button, share it, all of them lovely, lovely things, because otherwise no one knows that we are here. So at the very, very, very minimum, if you want to support us, just right this minute, right now, click like. That's all you got to do. If you're on Facebook, you can share it with your friends. Obviously, comment. We love hearing from you. We're going to answer your questions soon. We have got a guest with us tonight, and she is at a very exciting time in her photography career. She's literally breaking into the professional world. She's done a few weddings. She's got some booked in the future. Her prices are rising, which is what you want to be doing. She's selling prints. She does some fantastic photography. We're going to look at that as well. So, and you're going to ask her questions. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce her. It is Claire Miller, and let's get her into the shot here, shall we? There you go. Hello. Claire.
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And thank you for joining us. Let's go like that. That's a better one. Thank you for joining us, Claire. And Claire, introduce yourself. Is that a Star Trek mug? Was that a Star Trek mug?
Yes.
Yay! Brilliant. Right. Well, that aside, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, hello, I'm Claire. Thanks for the intro, Mark. Yeah, I am a photographer / sales manager living in Glasgow, and I am the grand old age of 38.
You don't look it, Claire.
Thanks.
I mean, you know, people look at me and they go, "Yeah, he's definitely his age." But I think you get away with it. It must be the Scottish air.
That's definitely it.
Or the whiskey. One of them.
Yeah.
Right. So, Claire, let's just get cracking and look at some of your work, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, perfect.
And then we can talk a bit more about you and your photography in a minute. And guys that are watching, if you do want to ask questions as we go, obviously whack them in the comments, and if we see them, obviously we'll answer them. Just be aware that you are 30 seconds. There's like a 30-second gap, if you know what I mean, before we see the comments. So yeah, just be aware of that. Right, Claire, where are we? Let's do that. Let's get one of your pictures up. Let's go over to the screen. Not that one. Oh my God. That's the one we want. There we go. Claire, this is obviously one of your pictures. I'm going to hand it over to you and you can explain it for us.
Yeah, thank you. So this, I kind of felt like I couldn't not include, because this is my biggest selling print, believe it or not. It is very local to me, just round the corner, and it's a very sort of old building in Glasgow called Snuff Mill Bridge. And to be honest, a lot of this, I got very lucky with the light. I was out very early in the morning. It was a beautiful winter's day. And yeah, I think because when I initially started selling prints, we were all still in lockdown. Everyone was stuck in their houses. A lot of people in the local area bought this as like gifts, or, everyone was redecorating their flats or sorting out their houses in lockdown, and it just landed at the right time, I think. So that's my bestseller.
Yeah, and it's this, isn't it? It's the glow of the sunrise, isn't it, on that wall? Yeah, it really shines out. It's a lovely print. And actually, while we're on that, I'm going to just show off your Instagram, Claire.
Oh, thank you.
Here's the Instagram, and here is Claire selling her prints there. Look, and there it is. There, that's it. There, isn't it? Is that a black and white version? That one.
Yes, so because I do some black and white prints in the mix, I quite often get asked for them as a 3, and people kept asking me to put it into black and white, so I bit the bullet and just added a black and white version. Yeah,
no worries. Yep, there you go. And if you want to follow Claire, there she is, Claire Shots. Claire Shots. I've got Shoots, sorry. Blimey. Don't worry, that's the Essex in me. There we go. I'll do that, Claire, and then people could definitely see your stuff there. Right, let's go to the next picture, which is this one here. I think I know where this is, but I'm going to I just want to you tell me where it is. Yeah, go on.
Well, I think you do know where it is. I think you're right. It's Loch Lomond.
Yeah.
So this was taken kind of on the quieter side of Loch Lomond. If anyone's familiar with Loch Lomond, it was taken at Millerrocky Bay in Balmaha, just along from Balmaha. Sensing a theme here, another sunrise shot. I do like to get up early, and you know, if anyone's ever been to Scotland, ever been to Loch Lomond, it's a very popular tourist spot. It's really, really busy. It's extremely rare to see it like this. And this was a furlough benefit, I must say. I could get up at the crack of dawn and just go there before anyone arrived. So I'd taken up a bit of wild swimming in lockdown, along with half of Scotland, it would seem. So I'd actually gone for a swim, and I had my camera in the car, and just, got lucky again with some absolutely beautiful light.
Yeah, I've been to this place as well, actually, when I've been up there on holiday, and there's a tree there as well, isn't there, somewhere?
Yes,
is that right?
Very famous. Yeah,
like
I think I read somewhere that's the most Instagrammed shot in Scotland.
I think it probably is.
Behind it.
Yeah, but you walk a bit down like you've done there, and you've got them rocks. I took a sunset, but I think a sunrise, because the sunset's behind over here, if I'm right, and the sun obviously must rise behind. But it's a fabulous picture. It's a fabulous picture. Is this one of your prints as well, or?
So I have got it printed. I haven't actually added it to the shop yet, because at the minute everything's kind of got theme, and I need to think about how to price and introduce sort of broader shots, landscapes and Scotland shots. But it is printed and ready to go. Yeah,
good. I would imagine that this would do okay. I've got there from Natasha Murphy. I'm not sure, because we're 30 seconds behind, so I could well have answered that question. What's Claire's Instagram? But we'll go back to it. Why not? There it is there. Claire_shoots. There you go. Claire_shoots. Let's go to the next picture. So just for people that maybe this is their first time, when I get guests in, I ask them to choose 3 pictures, which is obviously really hard. So these are Claire's 3 pictures. So we got that one, this one, and then this one here. Go for it, Claire.
Yeah, so this was, I've shot 2 weddings this year. This was the second one. I just think I wanted to include an example of a shot that I'd done, I guess, commercially, rather than because I liked the view or was on a walk, as part of a job for someone. This was, she'd obviously done herself up really vintage. So I tried to make the shot match her look and keep it quite old school and kind of, vintage feel, basically. And I like the lines in it. I like the way she's smiling. I think how happy she is on her wedding day really comes across. So it's one I'm really proud of from the day. It's only the second wedding I've ever shot. So I was really chuffed with that. Yeah,
good. Well, it's got the feeling that you want. I think that's what people want at weddings, that with their photographs, that they want to feel like they were there again, I suppose, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And she was a really playful person to photograph. She would not stop laughing. She kept swinging herself around things. And, I couldn't get her to keep her face straight. So just lean into it at that point, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. So there we go. We've got that picture there. These are the 3 pictures that Claire chose. That one there from a wedding shoot. That one there from a morning swim, probably freezing.
Oh, so
or not. Yeah. And then that one there, which I really like that picture. The composition of it, I just think the way that curves into, the focal point there. You've got a couple of people
out doing your leading lines assignment when I shot that, so you can take partial credit.
There you go. Do I get some? Do I get commission for that or something? That's good. And then this obviously is the focal point. I like it. Like you can see how this catches people's attention. And you've got a couple of people in there, haven't you? Or is that?
Yes. Yeah. They were on their way over the bridge.
They're walking out. Yeah. Cool. Very nice, Claire. Now we've got some questions that have come in, but I'm going to hold them back for a minute. So those people that have just asked questions, don't worry. I think we'll come to them in a minute. But we're going to get to know Claire a little bit more first. So I'm going to ask you some questions, Claire. The same questions we ask everyone. And the reason I ask these questions is because they're good questions. Obviously, our members are learners, and you are breaking into that world, and you've made a successful start, I would say. So firstly, tell us about your journey into photography, because you're obviously not a young student. You're my type of my age, and so something's happened. Like what? Tell us that journey.
Yeah, I mean, I did actually start off as a young photography student. I've always had a camera in my hand as long as I can remember, and I actually found an undeveloped roll of 110 film in a box somewhere the other day, which is how long I've been doing it. But I actually started off studying at a Glasgow college, doing film photography, not out of choice, just because digital wasn't really a thing yet. So there was dark rooms in the college, and we developed all of our own prints. Which just makes me feel so old now. Pretty much as soon as I finished that, digital came in, so I had to go back and do it again. I did my qualification twice. And honestly, I just got sidetracked. I got like a cushy office job. I went traveling, lived away for a while. Came home a couple of years ago, started kind of thinking I'd like to maybe brush up on photography, and I'd always had it as a hobby all this time. But then lockdown hit, and I think that's when a lot of people really returned to things that life had kind of pushed aside. So that's certainly what happened for me. So
and don't worry, I know about the darkroom. I did the same thing. 1995 was when I went to college. I don't know. I mean, can you beat that? Can you beat that one?
I can't remember the dates. I guess it would have been, I mean, I'm 38, and I would have been there when I was about 18, 19. So you can do that math. It's a long time.
You would have been past 1995. Yeah. No, that was when I was there. God, blimey, I loved it. And one day I will, that's it. I'm going to go off grid. Just like go totally off digital and just
build a dark room in your house and just
go for it. Yeah, I built a dark room in my bedroom when I was young.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, that's sidetracked. Look, right, let's get back to you. So that's your journey. So, and I think that lots of people. It sounds like it's in you, Claire. To be honest with you, it's always been in you. Where some people might have just thought about it. They might have done law at college, but you started off there and then got sidetracked off, and now you're back. And now you're back.
Absolutely.
So that's wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. So now you're back and you've started up again. What struggles have you faced? Like what barriers have you hit so far?
I mean, I guess it's not like when you're a student or younger and you have a part-time job that you're not very invested in. If you want to get back into photography now, then I guess you have to balance it with having a very busy full-time job and an adult life. So I think the main barrier is time, and sort of understanding that it is a bit of a sacrifice sometimes. If you don't make the time for the photography, it's not going to happen, and that does mean saying no to social occasions or things you might really want to do. So it's not all sort of just going out with your camera when you feel like it. You have to kind of carve out that time. So I think that's the biggest challenge, to be honest. It's not all fun and just leisurely shoots, So sacrifice
is a really good word to use, as a matter of fact, because if you're not prepared to sacrifice your time, you ain't going to get anywhere. And I think that's the same with most things if you're trying to build a career. But even getting up at the crack of dawn,
yeah,
and to get pictures. That's a sacrifice, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like that's it. That and the confidence as well. I think to just start doing it. I think that is a real challenge as well, because a lot of people, have like imposter syndrome, don't see themselves as a photographer. So I think that's a challenge as well.
How'd you get over that one then? The confidence thing.
I mean, I don't know if you ever fully do, and maybe you shouldn't. Maybe the striving to be better all the time is always a good thing. But I think for me, I just started doing it because I liked doing it. I wanted to put myself out there. And when I started getting those first trickles of sales coming through and feedback, and I realized that actually people who I'd never met and had no reason to tell me otherwise, no obligation for me at all, wanted to buy prints, wanted to put them on their wall, wanted me to take their headshots or come and photograph their occasions. So I think it's a slow trickle that just builds your confidence out of that. But you need to take that first step and just sort of step into the unknown and deal with the fact that you are, there is the opportunity or the possibility you might not get good feedback right away. And that is pretty scary. So
yeah, and I think that's really good advice. You've got to break that ice, haven't you? And you've got to have the fear. You've got to be fearless. So it might not work. Being creative is being fearless, isn't it? Really, I think.
Yeah.
But that's really good advice. So confidence, sacrifice, or having the confidence and making sacrifice are the two biggest barriers. And anyone watching, you should listen to that, because that's really good advice. Right then, so there's people out there, and they want to start up. They could be, it could be that they want to start to do weddings or like you, or they just want to be like, they just want to take good pictures or whatever. But what tips would you give to people? Because you're like fresh in it right now. So what tips would you give to people to make them better at photography or start their business?
I mean, from the business side, I think two mistakes I made right away were over-promising and undercharging. So I think I'm, a people pleaser anyway, and when you're new to it and you're out doing shoots and stuff, things would just fall out of my mouth. Like, I'll have these with you in 2 days, or you get 10 prints included with this. Like, these things would just come out of my mouth. So I think I've kind of learned now to send people breakdowns of what I'm going to provide, timescales of when I'm going to provide it, and just sort of having the confidence to say this will take me however long it will take me, instead of trying to please and ultimately disappointing people because you're putting too much pressure on, especially if you are trying to do it alongside a full-time job as well. And the other one is money. I did my first wedding for what I thought at the time was quite a reasonable fee. And to be honest, it did take I think, it was an understanding that it was my first wedding, and the people who I booked with knew that, and, were quite happy to take the chance. But once I spent weeks editing, I realized that I'd hugely undercharged for my time. So I think researching how much, or having an understanding of how much time you will actually spend on this job and how much you need to charge to make that financially viable as a career for yourself is a big learning curve.
Yeah, and I think it's a really common one that I hear a lot, because I think people think that they should just undercut or whatever, or and get the job, and they realise that actually it doesn't pay off long term.
No.
But I like that now. Yeah, go on.
No.
I like that now you've got a structure. This is how long it's going to take. This is what I'm going to give you for this cost.
Yes.
And I think a client wants that as well, don't they? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like,
yes.
But yeah, great. We've got some really good questions coming through. I'm going to get to them, but is there any other tips before we go forward for some questions? So you've got well, what's that? Don't undercharge.
Yeah.
Realize how long it's going to take you. I suppose that one you don't realize until you've done it, though, I suppose, do you? But
well, that's true. Yeah. I think on the charging, I would say as well that there's a perception thing going on there where if you do undercharge, people sometimes think that means you're not as good as the next person. So there is a bit of a psychology of pricing thing to consider as well.
Yes, right. Yeah. And like you've got people coming to you. So that's got to be a confidence thing, isn't it? To say, okay, I'm going to charge proper money. You know, they're coming to me. So anything else before we start taking questions? Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, right. Well, there's the question. There's them. What I wanted to ask you, and we got loads of good ones, to be honest with you. So let's crack on with some. If you see any, Claire, just let me know. But I think, where's it gone? There we go. Let's start with Gary Murphy here. How do you go about promoting yourself as a wedding photographer? Now, I know that you're quite new into it, but just tell us what you've done so far.
Yeah, so to be honest, both bookings that I have had came through. The first one is a friend of a friend who saw that I'd started up the photography page and came through that way. And the other one was directly through Facebook. So I have actually found out since then that they were recommended me sort of third hand by someone who I do actually know. And I think that's really common at the start, just from working in sales that aren't photography sales. I think when you first start, it'll be like that circle of people that would immediately see you starting up Facebook pages and Instagram pages will all be people that either know you or know of you through your social circles or whatever. And then I think as you build it, the hope would be that it would spread out from there. I have sort of considered, one thing I would say is I don't have a website yet, which is something that's a real priority for me now. I think that really needs to change. But I have considered sort of third-party sites and all the rest of it, but that's not something I've dipped my toe into just yet, so I can't really say much about how effective those are.
The Facebook page, which I just put up there for people to see, I think people underestimate how powerful a Facebook page is, and that lots of people, especially because of photography, think that Instagram is the way forward, but actually I think that Facebook is the way forward with a photography page. Obviously, it depends on what photography you are, because Facebook's more engaging. It's more like connecting with people, isn't it? You can talk to people. You get messaging from both, but I don't know. I just find it like better to communicate. That's what I find.
I find a lot of the people on my Instagram page are other photographers, and a lot of the people on my Facebook page are people who want to buy prints and book shoots. And I don't know why that is. I think they're just different markets and different user demographics, but that's what I've found anyway. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right there. There's a good one, actually. Here's a good one here. John Harrison here, because obviously we was talking... I've gone back up to find this one.
Yes.
We was talking about colleges and stuff like that. So is it worth getting a college course under your belt to become a pro, or is it just practice? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's very different now from when I did a college course. When I did a college course, that was the main way to learn how to do something, because I'm a very old person. And now you can just go on sort of YouTube and do sort of online courses. I will say I started the School of Photography because I obviously got my qualifications a long time ago now. And I wanted to fill in the gaps and just brush up. So I did the beginner's course from start to finish. And I don't think technically there was much in there. You know, there wasn't a lot that I learned in college that wasn't on that course. So the rest of it was just practical application, sticking to it. I guess maybe in college it might be a bit easier to do things like briefs because you're sent out in the middle of your college day and you're given that time to do it. But if you make that time for yourself, I think personally, I think you can have the same outcome. But Mark, you might have some input on that one.
Yeah, I think it just depends. Well, I think like what you said there about what you learn at college, and then it all just comes back to you when you see it again, because it actually doesn't matter if you learn on a film camera or the latest digital camera, because apertures and it's all the same thing. And I say that to people all the time. So that part, yes, I think so. College gives you time, doesn't it? It gives you time. It gives you personal feedback, I suppose, which you don't get online. And I mean, I had the best time of my life, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
when I went to college.
I'm not gonna lie, I did love it.
Yeah, I went to college for 2 years, and then I went to university for 3 years, and it was all photography based around photography. So to have that amount of time to do that kind of stuff and work in all sorts of dark rooms and meet all these, I found it invaluable personally. But I think if you want to be a wedding photographer, or you want to be like a portrait photographer, actually any photographer, your portfolio is what sets you apart these days. Do you know what I mean? I think that's so these days. I think if you've got a fantastic portfolio and your clients are recommending you, they're not worried about you having a degree. That's what I think. That's what I think. Yeah. So there you go. That's good. Now, let's go to the next one. Do you print? This is actually, I'll get it up and read it. Do you print your photos and frame them? I have put some photos put together and sold free so far. How do you price them? Yeah, that's a good question. So there you go. That's from Andrew Reardon there. There you go, Claire.
Nice. Andrew, I think I've seen your photos and they're amazing. So well done on the sales. So I print them. I use a lab. I obviously don't print them myself. And I buy in the frames. So at the moment, I just buy in the frames myself, frame them and send them out. I actually really want to find someone locally to work with for framing, but that's not how I do it right now. So we'll see how that progresses. I mostly sell A3 and I sell them for, now I wrote this down because I always forget it, £35 unframed, and my framed prints, which are, you can see them on that Instagram photo that Mark put up there, mounted. So they're quite large. In the frame, they go for 60. And I sell A4 unframed for £20 and framed for £45. And it is, thanks, Mark. It is glass frames, so you know, they're not like cheap rubbish frames with plastic on the front. They are nice frames. So I personally find that the more expensive prints are selling much better than the less expensive prints, which I have no idea what that says. I think maybe people just, if they're going to spend the money, they're going to spend it on the big one for the statement piece. But yeah. Yeah.
And are they signed on the front or anything?
No, I have some that, and again, this is just me sort of experimenting to see what works and what doesn't. I have some that are limited edition that I've said I'm going to sell just a certain amount of, and I price those slightly higher and I number those and sign on the back. But the rest, I just send out. Yeah.
Do you find the limited edition ones sell better?
Yeah, so the one that you just had up, actually, the tenement print one, and I don't know if I'm going to regret doing this because it's really popular, but that's one of the limited edition ones, and it's probably the one I sell the most of after the Snuff Mill Bridge one. That one.
So I can see why, to be honest, because it's quite artistic, isn't it? You can see that being on a wall and that. But you know, with limited edition prints, if that one is 10 inches. And you sold 10, you can always do one that's 11 inches and sell another 10 inches. You know, but that's great. That's a great answer, actually. Thank you very much for that. Let's. I hope that's answered Andrew's. I'm trying, because there was some coming through right at the top, and there was one there from Mark. We've just kind of answered that, so hopefully we've answered that for you, Mark, as well. Let's go. Oh, actually, there's another one from Mark, just by chance. So there we go. What's the best lens that you would use to do a wedding photo shoot. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have the answer to that question, to be perfectly honest. As I've said, I'm just starting out, so I actually shoot weddings with my little nifty 50. And I have this lens also, which is the 18 to 140, which is obviously just for a bit of flexibility. I hardly ever use that. I always end up using the 50.
Big aperture.
Sorry?
Because it's got the big aperture.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's just I only ever really use the other lens for big group shots outside, where it's kind of like just trying to get everyone through and tick boxes. But for everything else that's like a little bit more creative, or more about the couple or the sort of feel of the photograph, I go for the 50. I am sure there are better lenses. I can't afford any of them right now, but that's what I'm using.
It's a great lens, to be honest with you, isn't it? I mean, it's just a fantastic lens, and it sounds like your style is to walk around, just pick things off.
Yeah.
See things, pick it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, because that's how you get a realistic feeling for the day, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's great. Have you seen any in here? We've got we've answered. There's a few about printing. There's one. I mean, this one is just how long is a piece of string, really? What is a proper price to charge for photography, such as a wedding or a portrait? You've got to. Oh, go on, Claire.
Yeah. So I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, it is how long is a piece of string. I mean, obviously, I'm probably under or overcharging all over the place right now. I shot my first wedding at £700, far too low. The second I shot at 1,200, so I pretty much almost doubled it for the exact same thing. And to be honest, I will probably continue to put that up a little bit, which it's just a case of trial and error. At the minute, I obviously want to price myself at a level where I will get bookings, but I don't want to price myself out of my particular experience bracket at the minute or price myself too low. So it really is difficult. And I know that there's photographers out there who charge, absolutely astronomical amounts, and people who will do it for £500. So
there is a wide range, but ultimately you've got to earn money. All right.
Yeah.
We're all here in this like romantic vision that we want to be photographers and walk around with cameras and this is what I do for a living. But you have to earn money, and you should be clearing, if you just want a generalized, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but Terry. But if you want to generalize, you've got to clear 500 quid a day, really, to be able to do it full time. Because if a wedding takes you 3 days to complete, so 1 day to shoot, 2 days to edit, it's probably you're probably looking at minimum 3.5 days, because you've got to speak to the client and go to the venue first and have a look round and do whatever else. There's your answer, isn't it? 1,500 quid, 2 grand. There's your answer there. Yeah, and that's basically it, really. And that's the same with a portrait. And the reason I say clear 500 quid a day is because you don't have work every day, right?
Well, that's it,
So if you have 1 day, 1 week, then hopefully that should still pay the bills. And then the next week you might have 3 days, and then you're doing all right. So and then that's a blanket answer. It's as long as a piece of string, but there's a little answer for you. Hopefully that's might have helped you out a little bit more. Right, I want to know if I'm doing that. This is more okay. This is just more, but let's have a technical one. We ain't had a technical one yet. This is hi. I just want to know if I'm doing a panoramic shot but need to bracket. Do you merge each bracketed shot, then stitch them all together to complete the pano? Right. So, do you know the answer to that, Claire?
No. Absolutely don't.
in Lightroom, it does it all for you. So you can do a HDR merge and a Pano all at once. Lightroom is clever enough. It knows what it's doing. But if you're not using Lightroom, then yes, you're going to have to merge each picture and then Pano them together. There you go, Mick. Hopefully that's helped you out. In Lightroom, you just select them all, right click, and I think it says merge or something like that. You go across and then it will say HDR and Pano. Easy. There you go. The software. Let's go to another one here. There's a few people. Mark's thanking us. No problem, Mark. Well, you're thanking Claire, really, there. And do you create and update your own website? Well, we've just you haven't got one yet, have you? So
not yet.
No. They're fairly easy. I mean, we could talk about websites actually. Just very quickly, there is. Just a School of Photography, we've affiliated with two companies that are good, Squarespace and one called Pixel. And they're very easy. You can just upload your pictures, and you can create a portfolio website. Now, other websites link to print companies as well, so you might want to, for you, Claire, you might like that. So that is things like SmugMug, which we do have an affiliate with as well. So you get a discount. Like, this is for anyone, a member. SmugMug do it. You can create a website and then it links to a local lab. So someone can literally click on the print, buy it. It takes its percentage. You take your percentage and you don't even see anything in the middle. It just does it all for you. So there's that way of doing it. But that's just a quick brief one there. Put your questions in here, and there's a few questions. Right, guys, listen, I'm just going to be honest. All the questions have now disappeared, and I can't see them. So, if you did ask a question, can you ask it again so we could see it there?
I can see some.
Go on.
There's one from Brendan Lynch saying how much time passed from when you first set up social media pages until the first trickle of print sales. There we go. And hi, Brendan. I would say it was quite fast, actually. But I wouldn't say it was just because of setting up my socials. I set up my socials, but I also posted. So I think most towns probably have something similar, where certainly in Glasgow, there's loads of community Facebook pages that usually allow local sellers to post once a week. And so I posted on almost all of them and said, here's some local prints. I'm just starting up, like, have a wee look. And that brought traffic really quickly to my Facebook and my Instagram, and people went to my Etsy from there. So more than anything else, I would say that was the thing that was like a launch pad for it. Yeah.
While we're on Etsy, does that work for? I mean, I've spoken to you about it, but just to let everyone else know, like, tell us about Etsy, because funnily enough, I mean, Etsy's been going for years. I think I might have even started at an account there, like so many years and years ago before I started all this. But now they're really quite big. They're actually advertising on the telly, aren't they, at the minute? I think there's some TV adverts. But just tell us what Etsy is and how it works for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. So Etsy is like a seller's website. Basically, it's like an online craft market almost. And there's, literally everything on there that you could ever possibly want to buy. So I have got an Etsy shop.
This is it here, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, it is actually a little bit sparse right now. I have to get on there and spend some time updating it, but everything's run quite low. So yeah, I think like the really good thing about Etsy is that everybody knows what it is. It lets you check out as a guest, and it also brings its own traffic to your site. So you can go on Etsy and you can have a look, and you can see in the analytics where the traffic's come from. It will tell you how many sales they brought you, how many sales, how much traffic you brought to the site through your own pages, through your Instagram, through your Facebook. So it's a good way to get a handle on what's actually working for you and what isn't. And it's just a really easy way to pay for people to pay.
Yeah. Do you fulfill the sales yourself? Like, so the order comes through to you and then you send it from, from where you are. So it's not done like automatically by them. Like you don't send it to their warehouse and they... No, it's done by you. Yeah. Okay.
No, it's just a way to sell. And obviously they do take sellers fees, but to be honest, I can't remember off the top of my head what they are, but they're very reasonable. It's nothing crippling.
Okay.
And I think in time, I would obviously hope to make the majority of my sales through my own website. But I think if you're at the stage I'm at, Etsy's a really good shout.
Yeah. Very good. I don't know if you do this actually, Claire. Let's put this one up here. Do you recommend photography insurance? Do you have any at the minute?
And you know what? It's a very good question because I don't, and I do need to get photography insurance. So I actually was asked for my insurance recently while doing a market stall, and I obviously don't have any. So yeah.
I just use normal business insurance for everyone else. Like you can just actually, I've got an insurance broker and they do it for me, to be honest. But you don't have to go to a specific photography. You just need public liability. Insurance is insurance, public liability, and your equipment. That's what it breaks down to. If you've got an office, then you have to have that insured as well. So that's it really. And just do a Google search. There's loads. I use a broker, so they go to different people, I think. Let's any more. Do you do many market stall sales? There we go. That's all right then. Do you do many? How many do you do?
Yeah, so I've only just started doing markets. I've only done a couple so far. I did one. The one that you showed on the Facebook page was definitely the most successful. It was very local to me. And just as a sort of steer, I was there for 4 hours. My prints are between sort of 40 and 60 quid, and I made about £500. But afterwards, people, messaged me, and I'm still having conversations with people back and forth about maybe doing something a little different for them, or putting a print that they like in a different size or black and white or whatever. So yeah, definitely very worthwhile, but you need to pick the right market. I did another market stall last week and I sold one print, and I was there from 9 until 6, and it was in a shopping centre. So I think, again, it's just not, people aren't there with the same head on, are they? They've not arrived saying, I've got a bit of cash in my pocket and I want to buy something today. It's not the same. So bit of trial and error, but they can be really good, or a disaster.
I bet, £500 in a day is quite good, isn't it? Really, £500
It was
sales.
really tough, yeah, it was really good. Definitely worth it, and it's a good way to meet other people locally who are selling things and sort of just get involved in the community. And
and it leads on to other jobs, doesn't it? Everyone I've spoken to that does that, the same sort of thing comes back. Always you meet someone and you give them a card, and you might get a phone call 6 months down the line, but it still leads on to another job or whatever. But it's really good. I just saw a really good question, and here it is here. That was from David Booth. Thanks, David. Thank you. This one is from John McQuaid here, and it says, I have my first wedding shoot next year and I'm nervous about it. What advice could you give? Any help? Here you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm still doing loads of things wrong, and feel free, Mark, to chime in. But I would say, for me, make sure that you, I kind of mentioned it before, are very clearly laying out expectations. How many shots are you going to deliver? When are you going to deliver them? What's your Instagram? Are you going to share their pictures on your social media? I would put all of this in a contract, sit down, chat to them about it, and have you and them both sign it off so that you're all happy. I think I felt like that was being really heavy-handed, but actually it's reassuring for them and for you. Things like when's their final payment due, how much deposit you're taking, all that kind of business side of it. And, you know, you can download templates really easily online for wedding photography and just kind of tweak them to what you need. So I would say that. And I think the other thing is just to be really clear on what they're expecting. Like, make sure you have a list of shots that they want. Like, for example, one of the weddings I just shot, there was a family member who is ill, and there was a lot of photographs out with the standard that they wanted with that particular person. So I think having that list with you and making sure that you get everything that they've asked for is really important, because after that, all the kind of other shots that you get over and above are great, but they're the ones probably that they're going to frame and put on a wall. So yeah, I think that would be my main advice.
Yeah, that's right. I can't add to that. That was good advice, to be honest with you. I'm not a wedding photographer. I've done a few over the years, but only because I've had to, mainly. And you know, it's nothing that I've never wanted to do one. You know, it might be that someone offered me some money. I can't remember enough to. Oh, okay, then I'll do it. Or I did one for a friend once who was struggling for cash, and so I helped them out. That one was all right because I helped them out, and I enjoyed that. But yeah, no, that was better advice than I could give, Claire. So there you go. So hopefully, John, that's helped you out, and yeah, good luck with it. Obviously, it is nervous, but you know, you got to do it. You got to break that ice, and you've got to do it. I mean, there's always the take loads of pictures rule, and you know, take loads of pictures and you'll get a few good ones out of it. There's always that rule. But yeah, there you go. So
yeah, and don't be afraid to be bossy either. Like, I think people get drunk at weddings, they mill around, you know, you're the venue and the suppliers and the meal and everything will be on a time scale. So you might have an hour for the photos. So don't be scared to shout at everyone until you get what you need to.
Yeah, and that's the part you have to speak to the couple about, don't you?
Yeah,
so, look,
definitely.
When because we got married just not long ago, actually, and I knew the photographer anyway, so it was all right. But even then, even knowing him, it was, you know, he's making sure, he's going, when do you want them guns done? When are they going to be done? You know, so I need to know when they're going to be done. So as soon as the bells go off, you go outside, you get that bit done, and then you're off. You know. But yeah, there you go. There we go. No problem, John. Yeah, just Claire, you're thanking. And what do you think of you? There's loads of other pictures, questions coming in here. There's this one. There's this one. I'll put it up anyway. What's the best part of this? Is for an advert for me. This is why I put this one up. What's the best part of TSOP? This is from Paul. He's just joined. Just tell him to buy the book and everything, the ebook and everything. Just go to
so, well, I mean, everyone's a bit different, I suppose, but for me, the thing I like most about it, obviously there's a total wealth of knowledge to be gained, and that's an amazing resource. But for me, I really like that. What I really miss about college and studying full time is doing briefs and having sort of peer feedback. Like, you know, if you're at college full time, you go out and do your briefs, and then the tutor will put the shots up one by one and everybody will go through them. And I think that the digital version of that in TLCP is great. And Mark obviously spends quite a lot of time reviewing shots and explaining how they could be better. And that was kind of what drew me to sign up. I missed that and I get a lot out of it. So yeah,
because that's the teacher in me, to be honest with you. that's the bit I liked to do as a teacher, and obviously it's harder to do it online, and it's harder when you've got like there's a couple of thousand people on that Facebook group, and then there's more on the others lot. So you try and do it as best as you can for everybody, you know. So that's what I try. And I'm glad you said that. I try to make it as close to being at college as you can get but with being just online, I suppose. But
and I think if you're left to your own devices, you'll just always shoot what you like to shoot. So having to shoot, sometimes the briefs will come in and you think, how am I going to get that? And it pushes you. So I think that's a really good aspect of it.
Yeah, the next one's good. We just made the video yesterday, actually. Today, I was just looking at it today. The next one's going to be a good one.
Perfect.
Yeah. Right, so that's that. And then here is, I don't know where you send yours to be printed. Is there anywhere in Scotland, or is it a UK thing?
So I'm looking them up on Instagram so I don't get their name wrong. I use a lab called, is it AGR Imaging? AGR Imagery. No, that's a different one. Do you know what? That's terrible. I don't know the name of the lab. It's a lab down south, and I just started using them at the very start because, to be honest, they offered on Instagram to try them out for free, and I did, and I liked their printing, and I've just stuck with them. So that's who I use. I do use Shootproof, which is a website for hosting galleries, and they partner with Loxley's Colour. So I do any clients that buy shots through Shootproof. So to explain that a bit more, that's when I shoot something commercially like a wedding or portraits. I use Shootproof for the gallery, sends them a lovely gallery that looks very sort of aesthetically pleasing instead of like a Google Drive or whatever. And that website has a functionality to buy the prints, and that automatically goes through Loxley, and they come back lovely as well. So
yeah, I've used Loxley, and they're really good. If you calibrate your screen properly, they seem to be really accurate, to be honest with you. And that's the problem when you send off for prints. Like, that's the one that does you.
One Vision Imaging. One Vision's
the other one. Yeah, that's right. Because actually, they're the two big ones in England, I think. But it's for the UK, isn't it? But Loxley and One Vision, they're like the competitors, aren't they? They sort of do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're good. Very good. So, what's coming on here? More questions, please, guys. I did have one here. What did I have here? We've got some here, but they're not wedding related. I'll tell you, this is a good one here from Van Boekhold Marianne. It's from the Netherlands, so it's a Dutch name. And me trying to pronounce stuff, as people know, it don't work. But they are a member, and they're saying this, which I thought was quite good. It says, Mark, this one is for you. Is there something about photography you want to learn? Learning all the time. Like, I feel like I never ever stop learning. I just think there's always new things that come up. I mean, when we was just doing the astrophotography course, and Ben, the guy that's doing it, was doing these stacking shots in pitch black with rocks, torches, Milky Ways, and you could never have done that in the film days. What we was doing. And, so that was another thing. And then working with this macro guy, how to work, how he works. He's like Dr. Dolittle. This is the course that's coming out soon. How he works with insects, and you'll see it in the videos. These insects don't move, right? And the lens, if I did it, they would just fly away, right? The lens can be that far away from these insects, like dragonflies and that. And just watching that was just fascinating, because I've never been in photography for all this time and never seen that kind of nature being photographed. So you're learning all the time. But for me, I would like to, when I retire, just build a nice darkroom. And I'm going to start experimenting with medium format, resin papers, and I'm just going to be going like that. That'll be me. That'll be me learning in the future like that. But yeah, we've got time for a couple more. This one with just Debbie, just so that you know we have answered that earlier. It would be your nifty 50, wouldn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think if you're on a budget, you can't go far wrong buying one of those to get started. It's my fave.
And that's that one. Okay, here we go. This is quite a good question. If you know you're going to get a picture printed, do you max out the file size, i.e. the best quality and size of JPEG, etc. That's from David Russell.
Yeah, so I actually use the settings that Mark laid out in the Lightroom course for printing. So when you're exporting from Lightroom, I have it basically set up so that it's of print resolution. And I've just set that as a preset, so I don't really have to think about it. So yeah, that's exactly how I do it. And I do the same thing every time.
That's right. That's right. You just set Lightroom to export a full-size JPEG, and then you can't really get bigger than that. And that's it, isn't it? That's basically it. It's a full. So whether you crop it, Lightroom's going to export it at its highest resolution that's in that file, and that's all you do really. You just set Lightroom up to do that, and that's right. That's the way I would do it as well. Right. So, I don't know if there's. We'll have. When do you send it? We'll have a couple. There's a couple more come through, so we'll just have these two because they look good. Paul, this is, I think Paul asked something earlier. Anyway, what is your most important phone app that you use? There are so many different options, but what is the most useful to help you with photography? I don't know if you use any, Claire. Do you use any?
No, not really. No, I do all of my editing not on my phone. I don't know if you mean app for, like social media apps, in which case, Instagram and Facebook. But if you mean like an editing app, no, I do have Photoshop Express on my phone. I don't know why, because I never use it. So yeah.
Yeah. I've just discovered one called Photo Pills, which seems to be really good because I've got all of these freebie. I like the ones where you can see where the sun's going to set at what time. That they're really helpful, but they're just called Sun Seeker apps, by the way, Paul. You just type in Sun Seeker. That's what it does. It seeks the sun. Loads of free ones out there, but then there's this one called Photo Pills, which I've been working with that photographer, and he uses it, and it has lots of other things like weather and the dew point and all of this stuff that you wouldn't. They're just handy to know. But I think you can get away with free apps a lot of the time. But yeah, that's what I use. But that's that. And then I think, unless you've seen any, have you seen any that you want to answer? What's this one here? Yeah, this is a good one. Right. We are definitely going to end it on this one. Okay. So it says, how much preparation do you put into a wedding shoot? Yeah. Do you have an engagement and anniversary shoot as a package? Yeah, like upselling. That's a good one as well.
Yeah. No, I don't, but I should. I absolutely should. And I think that is a definite next step for me, is to add those on. In terms of prep, I would have at least one face-to-face meeting with the couple, but preferably two. So one would be closer to the wedding and one would be when they book in. I obviously chatted a bit about how I put together contracts with shot lists and expectations to make sure that we're all on the same page. And I go to the venue, and I try to go to the venue at the time of day I'm going to be shooting, so that I can see where I'm going to take my group shots, where the light's going to be, etc., etc. So yeah, and I think indoors in venues is really important to look at as well, because sometimes modern wedding venues just have absolutely hideous indoor lighting. Like, it's maybe sometimes even strip lighting, or just something really awful that you want to maximize your chances of getting a nice shot indoors. So yeah, just do your sort of prep with visiting the venue, I would say.
Yeah, 100% go to the venue, because you don't know what's going to happen when you get there. Do you know what I mean? But that is a very good tip. Now,
I do also look up, actually Google the venue and have a look at where, because quite often it's maybe a venue that just do their group shots in the same place every time, and you see other photographers put that up online, and it's good to know that, because it saves you faffing around in the day if there's a window that everybody takes the group shot out of or whatever. So yeah, and another tip is to ask the
the waiters there or whoever's there say, where do the photographers normally go if it's the first time that you've been there? They'll go, oh, they always stand over there. Or because the one that I did for a friend of mine, I was helping them out. But I just remember being there and I was thinking, where am I going to take this group shot? And this guy just came up to me and went, there's a window up there and they hang out of that window, right? So I went, oh, and it was so good. I just went and hang out this window. But yeah, ask the locals, I suppose. That's the key to that one. Now, guys, if you're watching now, don't go anywhere. I know you want to go and watch I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here and all that, right? But listen, before you do, press that like button, please. That's all you need to do. It's all algorithms and computer stuff, and I just need you to do that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel or the Facebook page if you haven't done so already. Don't forget to check Claire out as well. That's Facebook there, and then it's at Claire Miller Shoots, and then on Instagram it is Claire_Shoots. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Claire_Shoots. So go and check Claire out as well. Claire, I want to say a massive thank you. We've had a big audience tonight. I'll talk to you about it in a minute. We've had a big audience tonight, so obviously it's been popular. So thank you very, very much for that. And and that's it. We're just going to say goodbye to everybody, and I'll catch you all in the next live Q&A or on the members group or wherever. All right. You stay there, Claire, and I'm going to click the goodbye button. Bye.